Hello everyone and welcome to another Daily Muppet. In today's video I want to talk about the Ronaldo news, the further leaks from the club, where they're coming from, the statements that the club have made, talk about things with recruitment, updates on Adrian Rabiot, Gakpo, the overall plan for the rest of the summer in terms of recruitment, the news that James Garner is potentially being sold, as well as talk about other players that are being linked right now, such as Jamie Vardy. But first, today's video is sponsored by OneFootball. We've teamed up with OneFootball to help bring you the best in football news. If you're looking to keep up with everything going on these days, all the latest news, transfer, scores, and updates, download the OneFootball app today for free. Their easy-to-use app is clean and attractive, and you can see the latest transfers, the top news curated for you, match scores live, streaming without subscription, highlights, and so much more, all built and personalized for your interest. Click the link in the description below today to download OneFootball and get all your football news, aside from the Muppetiers, of course, all in one place. So let's just get straight into this. And the first thing that I want to really get into is this Ronaldo stuff. And there's going to be a ton of disagreement on this from people. I've already seen a lot of arguing about it. I've already seen an enormous amount of a agenda being pushed about this whole situation. And the problem that we have right now, and this is what I was talking about on Saturday, is got to stop talking about the players. Understand what I mean by this. It's not about I like this player, I don't like this player, I like this player, I don't like this player. Because this is how and why, there's so much division and people cannot be aligned. Cristiano Ronaldo wants to leave. The club want him out. And when I say the club, I'm talking about people in the football areas of the club. I'm not talking about, up there, Joel Glazer. So when I talk about the club, when I talk about what is wanted, I'm talking about people from the football perspective, unless I specify otherwise. And there's a lot of articles came out from Paul Hurst that said he's bad attitude in training, doing things differently. The article from The Athletic went pretty soft on it, from what I know. Softer than it was, talking about how the manager's now changed his mind and is open to letting him go, which he said on Sunday was the case. But it's much more than that. It's not just open to letting him go. It's that they want him to leave now. That is what is wanted by people at the football club. And I don't think anybody's going to make it that stringent, because you can't say and put it out there that you want him to leave when you know he can't. And when you know he cannot go. And people make that about Ronaldo. It's not. So many times people say, listen to the manager about this. People saying, listen to the manager. He said he trained well. He said he's happy. Well, the manager says he's happy with all the transfer business. Do you believe that? Do you think he's happy with the transfer business? Because he said he was. How many years have we been doing this, talking about how the managers lie? I think it's one of the things I've said a million times on Twitter and such. Managers lie. You can't trust the thing a manager says. He says he's happy with his transfer business. He's not. He's extremely unhappy with his transfer business. After the game, he went and asked for 3 more transfers. Did he say before the game, I need 3 more transfers in the press conference? No. Managers lie. He says he's happy with the business. He says he's happy with the team. He's not. He's so unhappy with the team, he brings them in for an extra run on a Sunday. He says Ronaldo doesn't, and here's the simple evidence of it. He said Ronaldo doesn't want to leave. Everybody knows he does. Everybody knows he does. Managers lie in press conferences. That's what they do. But it's not about Ronaldo. Stop making it about Ronaldo, because if you're doing that, then you don't get it. Ronaldo wants to leave. Ten Hag is trying to build a club full of players who want to be there. Ronaldo doesn't fit the rebuild. Joel Glazer is keeping Ronaldo because he makes him money. Period. End of story. That's the fact. If they moved Ronaldo, they'd have more funds for transfers, 500,000 a week in wages cleared. But they don't, because it makes Joel more money. That is a fact. That is the reality of it. And people are defending this because they like Ronaldo. He's not right for this team. This is a rebuilding team. It is not a team that is going to win titles. This is what I talked about Ten Hag from the start. That a lot of people who wanted Ten Hag would suddenly not understand that this is a rebuild. This is years down the road. This is not winning next year. You don't want players who need to win next year because you can't. They're just going to be unhappy. We're not winning things this year. We're not winning titles this year. Isn't it obvious? It's a rebuilding team, and you can't talk about backing the manager, and you got to give the manager what he wants. And he's clearly been trying to get a striker half of the summer. Look at the rumors. There's Sesko. They were in talks for him. Nunez early on. There's a bunch of other names. They're looking at strikers left and right. They've been offered Aubameyang, Depay. We'll talk about Vardy, Icardi. Like, they've been offered so many. Clearly he wants a striker. Clearly he wants a striker. It's inarguable. He wants Cristiano Ronaldo to leave at this point in time because Cristiano Ronaldo wants out and is unhappy. Do you understand that? It's not complicated. It's not about Ronaldo. It is being blocked by Joel Glazer, okay? That is the reality of it. That's the fact. And people have to accept that simple thing and stop making it about Ronaldo. This is why the fan base is always divided. This is why I said on Saturday, stop with the player shit. It's not about the players. What I'm talking about isn't about Ronaldo. If Ten Hag wanted Fred sold, or Rashford sold, or if there were stories about them not doing things in training, imagine how it would look to people. Imagine what people would say if the story had come out and said, Marcus Rashford doesn't want to press in training, is sitting alone and all of that. Imagine if that story came out. You wouldn't get this defense. Imagine if that story came out. Let them go. In 2018, Jose Mourinho wanted to sell Martial. Don't forget that. He wanted to sell Martial and Joel blocked it. He said that. He wanted Martial gone, he wanted Pogba gone, and Joel Glazer blocked it. I was against it then, against Joel Glazer interfering in it then. This is a pattern of interrupted decision-making and interference in the football side of things, and it kills managers. They lose the dressing room over it because they have to have complete and utter control of the dressing room. Sir Alex Ferguson was able to get rid of whoever he wanted, and he did. I've said since the start, the manager doesn't need control of every signing you bring in. You need proper recruitment to do that, but he does need control of everyone he wants out. He should not ever have to have players that he does not want there. He cannot have players he doesn't want. But these stories are true. These are not, random things out there for no reason. People like Laurie Whitwell, Ornstein, Adam Crafton at The Athletic, they're not putting things out that are just false. You can't claim that. You cannot claim that, and you can't expect that. You can't say that that's the case. It isn't. When you're seeing stories that Ronaldo doesn't press, that Ronaldo's not eating with the team, well, these were specifically stories you saw over the last few weeks that Ten Hag was asking for with the team to create unity, to eat together, to do this. You think this is players leaking against Ronaldo? It's not. That's the thing people aren't getting. This is not players leaking against Ronaldo. This isn't players. This is staff, people at the club who are talking to try to get pressure on the club to get him out because it won't be approved by people at the top. So whenever you see a leak in a story like this, you have to say, why would they talk about it? Why do they want it out there? Because they're not allowed to move him on. Do you understand that? And look at the circus that it is. Every day is Ronaldo going to play? Is Ronaldo going to start? Is Ronaldo going to do this and do that? Ronaldo wants to leave. Ronaldo's still unhappy. This isn't the way you rebuild a club. This isn't the way you create a community and a togetherness in the locker room. It's too much. It's a mess. It does not fit what Erik Ten Hag is trying to do, and it's not about the player. Take any player you want and put their name in this story, and you wouldn't see the same reaction from people online. This doesn't have to do with Ronaldo not being a legend or not being a great player. It has to do with the simple fact that no matter who they are, the manager's in charge. And like I said, could you imagine if the story was Rashford, if it was like Harry Maguire refuses to, play out the back and keeps lumping it forward, and Harry Maguire's eating dinner by himself? Like, what would the reaction be? Would it be blaming the leaks? Would it be saying, oh, the players are trying to get rid of Maguire? Or would it be, hey, Maguire, what the hell? Why is this Maguire? Would that be the reaction? It wouldn't be. And in general, everyone assumes the leaks are players and always assumes that it's players they don't like. but most of the leaks paint plenty of the players people don't like fairly negatively. But that's what people want to believe. It's not usually players, it's staff. And that doesn't mean the leaks aren't true. That's the funny part. And the thing is that, I wish there weren't so many, of course. But then there'd be no stories. These are stories from people who are well-sourced at the club, who have connections, who are asking about things. But I noticed that people only get mad about leaks when it's not what they want to hear. So anyway, regardless, the point of the matter is this is a continued interference from Joel Glazer and the Ronaldo thing, and you can't disagree with it or disbelieve it just because it's about a player that you like in this case, because that's not the point. The point is, whoever it is, this would be unacceptable, and that's my point on it. And in terms of uniting as a fan base to say we need the Glazers out, we need Joel Glazer to stop interfering in this club, and I don't think that's going to happen without a change in ownership, everybody has to be on the same page. You cannot have all of this fighting. Ronaldo right now is a shield that the Glazers use to protect them, frankly. So, it just needs to change. The whole way that the fans operate together needs to change. That's why I said on Saturday, because I could see this coming, stop talking about the players. It's a distraction. I am trying to present with information that I know to show how Joel's interference and is constant and affects everything. And then a perfect example comes out that I said, and people don't want to accept it because it's about someone they like, and this is exactly the problem. This is how people get divided. So I'm telling you, stop talking about it like that. Start understanding anything that's there that puts the pressure on the Glazer family is a good thing, and that's what this is, because it's the truth too. You cannot stick your head in the sand. You cannot get into United and Player FC. You cannot get into any of that. We cannot get distracted by it. This story isn't about Ronaldo. It's about what the manager and staff want, and it being blocked by non-football people. If you replace Ronaldo's name with anyone in the story, if it helps you think with it better, I don't care. Do that, but stop talking about the players. On Saturday's video, I also introduced the information on the Thiago stuff. I gave a little bit of a hint of it. The last day and today and ensuing days, I'm working on organizing kind of an entire catalog of Joel Glazer decisions and interference, every deal he blocked, every deal he scuppered through the 2020, and it's a lot. And all the interference, and everything like that. I'll give you another example right now and then tell you something else. One of the things that happened in 2020 was Chris Smalling was sold by the end of the window. They wanted to sell Smalling all window. Why did it take all summer? Why did it take right till the end? Joel Glazer didn't want to sell him. Joel Glazer said we should talk about this because putting his opinion in there. And you know why? Because he didn't want to buy a center back. And there's a specific player at center back United were offered in 2020 that would have been a very nice signing, and I'm going to give more detail on this later. But effectively, it was holding up the sale as a money-saving exercise so you didn't have to discuss buying. And Joel Glazer wanted to talk about it in detail. Why? Why is he even involved in this? Why is he involved in this at all? But he wanted to talk about in detail Chris Smalling and selling him and if it was a good idea and all of that. And it nearly didn't even get done. It was down to like the last minute. But conveniently, that of course doesn't leave time to buy another center back. When you see those months and weeks stalling, it's Joel Glazer because he wants to talk about it, he wants to discuss it. Everybody's got to wait for him, his decisions, his thoughts, his everything. So there's going to be a lot coming from me this week about Joel. I'm going to talk about players like Sancho and what happened, Thiago more, and I'm going to talk about players that there wasn't a lot of news about, like Skriniar, for example, and his involvement in things like that. This information that I'm giving you is really very, very solid, and I want to be clear about this. This is by far the best sourced information I've ever had that I personally believe 100% explicitly and know to be true. I didn't release it prior for a couple of reasons. The main reason being I had to be very careful back then about releasing it for the person who was giving me this information. That simple. And it's only been long enough now that it's probably not problematic for them anymore if I release it, and we've decided together that it would be safe now to put this information out there, and for the benefit of the fans and the club and everything that's going on right now. So I've been speaking to this source who does not have current information but has this information from before, and he said to me yesterday, as we were reviewing a lot of this information, putting it all together, and I'll give you this as a quote here. He said, "You could say Ole built this squad, and don't get me wrong, he played a part, but this is Joel FC. He's the head scout. And it would be funny if it weren't so sad. But that is the truth. That is literally the truth of how Manchester United have built their team under Joel Glazer." So let's move on to transfers, because it's a bit funny right now. There's a lot going on. And there's a few names and things to talk about. First, James Garner. They're apparently willing to sell him. I think there's a lot of people very upset by this news, considering the state of the midfield and him not getting the chance in there. There's a simple reason he's being sold: money. He may not be ready yet, and he's going to fund Rabiot. He's going to fund the purchase of Rabiot. Because there's no extra money given there to fix this problem. And so he will be sold to help raise funds for the purchases that are needed and wanted by Eric Ten Hag right now. That's why it's been approved in the last week. So, simple as that. I think he'll go to Forest, but there's other clubs interested. Southampton were interested, Leeds were interested, but I don't believe they are anymore. There's a couple other ones. Eric Bailly is likely out. There's been talks going on. As I've said, that one's the most likely of the center backs to go. There's a very good chance of it. It's needed. It was said by the guys at The Athletic, Ornstein, that talks are on for him. And when you talk about leaks, there's one that's staring you in the face. That does need to go. Hannibal, as mentioned before, there were clubs looking at him from the Championship. It looks like he is on the move to... I have to remember, but it's a Championship club. He's on the move to a Championship club. There's a few clubs interested. One is very close right now. But yeah, that was, as I said before, where he was most likely to head. He'd been given the green light to go on a move, and I think that is a great development move for him, to get some proper first-team minutes in a very physical, fast-paced league. Right now, Adrien Rabiot is the only deal that I have confidence happens, and I've explained already many, many times what's wrong with that. I believe it'll be done this week. It may even be done tomorrow. Someone was talking with me, and they're saying he was suspended for Juve's game today. So if you sign him before that, then he's suspended for the first game. It does carry over. But if he signed after tonight, then he shouldn't be suspended, and he could go right into the United team. So I think that that will happen this week. It's very, very close. Right now, just it's stressful. Things are not good within the club. It's worse than it appears. It's a real mess. I'm not sure how they get out of it, but like I've been talking about, the point I keep trying to make and bring up is that this is a long process for Ten Hag. The right decisions need to be made, and they need to really work on and put the structure and things in place to back him up right now. I don't think the right decisions are continuing to be made, and I think that's simply down to the interference from above, which will not change unless it seems the Glazers leave. I've done what I can in other respects to communicate this to people around the club and see if there's any answers and any responses. We will see. But that's mostly what's happening there. The other name that I did mean to mention is Jamie Vardy. That is not an impossible rumor. I said weeks ago that they were being offered strikers from all over the place, which came out, Aubameyang, Depay, etc. Well, the Jamie Vardy thing absolutely has truth in it, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And again, why would they be looking at another older striker if the Ronaldo thing was all settled? They're not. It's not working. It's not working for the club. It's not working for the team, and they want an option to it, and it's being blocked right now. So hopefully something shifts on that as things get pretty ugly. But the pressure needs to be kept on, and then in videos throughout this week, I will try to keep up with the latest news, but I will also be putting out more detailed information. I'm just still trying to organize all of it so I can do it right on what we call the Thiago tapes, but all the specific details on Joel Glazer's involvement and interference in Manchester United. So thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. I'll see you in the next video.